want a cloud to rain on my parade. Don't tell me not to fly, I've simply got...
Greetings from Castle Goring from Mickey, Aurora the Love Machine, and me. Oh dear, the heat is really indescribable. The thermometer says it is 26.5 degrees centigrade in the family drawing room at Castle Goring. So I am afraid you're going to have to bear with me while I display my aging arms, because I'm sorry I can't stretch to sleeves. Sorry. So, without further ado, the first thing I would like to bring to everybody's attention, to those of you who are interested in really good books that are very entertaining and have a musical slant, some friends of mine, Kevin Farrell and Stephen Warby, who are a wonderful two-man team. They play duets of their own composition that are really transcriptions from the greats. Liszt, Mozart, Strauss, even The Entertainer, Scott Joplin, which they're wonderful, and they have written a book called Terrific Tales from Two Turns by Kevin Farrell and Stephen Warby and Stephen Aves. It is an ebook. It is on Amazon. It has 5 stars. If you want to know what a really gifted two-man composition stroke performing classical piano team is all about, you've got to read the book. So it is called Terrific Tales from Two Turns, and they are just back from Hollywood, having written music for Judy Garland's 100th birthday gala. That should give you an idea of their quality. They're also fabulous entertainers, I've got to tell you. If ever you have a chance to see them, go and see them. And if ever you have a chance to buy their records, buy them. Now, without further ado, I'm hoping to be able to shift Aurora from my lap, because I'm afraid she's too hot. Fur is not on when it's 26.5 degrees. So she's chewing my finger instead of cuddling up to me. Oh dear. So, to plunge in with the first question. So, without further ado, I will plunge right in with the first question, which is from Bess Collins. And rather like the last time, I'm hoping we can keep the tone relatively light and, wherever possible, entertaining and amusing, even though we have some pretty serious matters to cover. But there's no reason to be dull and serious when one can be serious and hopefully lively. So, Bess Collins says, "Hi, Lady C. I have seen the rumour that William and Catherine are living separately, and the move to Windsor is an informal separation. The evidence for this theory seems to be photo assumptions. The rumours must be coming from someone linked to the Markles. Is this just the Sussexes projecting their marriage problems onto the Cambridges? Oh, Bess Collins, that's very, very funny. Well, first of all, the Sussexes couldn't possibly have any, any, any marital problems. They are Romeo and Juliet, Abelard and Eloise. They are the greatest lovers that the world has ever seen, far surpassing any other royals, including Edward VIII and Mrs. Simpson. I mean, he only gave up a throne for her. Harry acquired 16 thrones with Meghan. I don't think it has anything to do with marital projection. I think it has to do with competitiveness. This is not the first time that there have been false rumours promulgated to the advantage of Abelard and Eloise, Daphnis and Chloe. Oh dear, oh dear. I think we should maybe mention Oedipus Rex and his mother while we're speaking about great loves and marital loves. They are totally untrue. The Cambridges are not separated. They are very firmly, solidly, securely, devotedly, and happily married, not only to each other, but to their commitment to the monarchy and to being the future Prince and Princess of Wales and King and Queen of the United Kingdom. Anything else is rubbish. Need I say more? Who does it profit to have these stories sullying the reputation of William and Catherine? Aurora? What is that? Aurora says something about Montecito. Aurora, you can't be so cynical at your age, darling. You're just a baby. Aurora says, I know the truth when I smell it. Oh dear, oh dear. Barbara M. says, although I am most distressed by their disrespect to and disregard of the Queen, I observe that they have also caused Thomas Markle great hurt. He who has had a heart attack and a stroke since H&M got together. Well spotted, Barbara M. I personally think the whole thing is not only deeply regrettable, but is basically unforgivable. You simply don't treat people, even strangers, and certainly not family members who are supposed to be loved ones. And even if they aren't loved ones, they're still family members. The way they have been treated. There is no doubt in my mind that Thomas Markle Sr.'s heart attack and stroke were both brought on by the stress of dealing with his daughter and son-in-law and dealing with the fallout caused by their tremendously... I'm trying to find a word that I can use legally. let's settle for untoward. Untoward. It's not defamatory. Untoward behaviour. If ever a father deserved love as opposed to contumely, it's Thomas Markle Sr. As for the Queen and Prince Philip, to sully the dying days of a supposedly beloved grandfather, and to justify it on the grounds that his patent approaching demise was a put-up job to deprive them of the opportunity to lambast the rest of the family and tell lie after lie to Oprah shows a degree of shamelessness which I, and I'm sure I speak for many other people, find utterly shameless. Curious Cat says, Lady C, I watched Thomas Markle Jr.'s videos and I like the way he uses pretend telephone calls from Oprah and Has Been, and may I interject and say, and Catherine, to take the mickey out of them in a very clever and amusing way. He is giving migraine and Has Been a taste of their own medicine. Interesting insights are gained from subscribing to his channel. Curious Cat, I couldn't agree more. I have been watching his videos and I would encourage everybody who wants to have a good laugh to subscribe to the channel and look at it. He is doing with humour what his sister and brother-in-law deserve. He is mocking them. They have mocked everybody and he is now mocking them. They mocked the Markle family, the Ragland family, the Johnson family, which is a part of the Ragland family, the Windsor family. They have mocked everybody with disdain. He is mocking them with straightforward mockery, and it's very funny. Michelle Graham says, correction, Lady C, the Commonwealth now makes up a third of the world's population at 2.5 billion souls of many colours these days. So, wish you'd explain the Commonwealth to your audience. Americans are very confused by it. Sorry, the heat has got to my throat as well. The Commonwealth is a voluntary organisation consisting of the 50-something former nations of the British Empire who have voluntarily joined together in what is effectively a post-colonial club, because the Commonwealth countries share a history, they share mutual interests, they share a common language. They are a voluntary force that, until Meghan and Harry started with their racist nonsense, had gone beyond many of the problems of empire and evolved into something very unprejudiced and very aware not only of the disadvantages of empire, but of the advantages of a post-imperial club. Harry and Meghan have damaged the integrity and the union by putting back the advances made in terms of harmony by about 40 years. What they have done is, she especially, by playing the race card in the unfair and untrue way that she has played it, she has played into the hands of racists and extremists within the Commonwealth. Now, most of the Commonwealth countries are not white. Most of them are either subcontinental or black. What she has done, and I know this because I'm Jamaican and I'm in very close touch with what goes on not only in Jamaica but in the Commonwealth, especially the black Commonwealth countries. She has encouraged the racist profiling where primarily black citizens of the Commonwealth have erased the role played by Africans in the slave trade and in slavery, and parked the responsibility wholly at the feet of white Britons, which is neither true nor fair. There has been a debate for some time about reparations for the British, who now, incidentally, are not all white either, but the British to pay reparations for slavery. So it's the ridiculous principle that in the present you should pay for the sins of people who were not even necessarily your ancestors. I mean, the whole thing is an ill-considered notion that plays well when you're beating the racial prejudice drum, but it doesn't play well when you are beating the harmony drum and the drum of progressing beyond. And the Commonwealth had, to a large extent, progressed beyond what it is now reintroducing in terms of topics of debate. This is entirely due to Meghan. The Commonwealth is a wonderful organization that I have no doubt, once they get over this hurdle, if they get over this hurdle, will continue on the path down which they were treading before Meghan Markle introduced the racist card to knock out the moderates and cause the debate to be between the extremes, because Meghan Markle and Harry, to an extent, are not about harmony. They're not about centrism. They are not about moderation. They are about extremism. And they're not about sound principles. They are about emotive chest bashing. I hope that explains it. If it doesn't, please let me know. Patty Callahan says, Lady C, you look stunning this afternoon. Thank you very much. I think you mean the previous video. Thank you. Thank you. A friend of mine, sadly no longer with us, Homer Potterton, who had been the director of the National Gallery of Ireland and then became a writer, he used to say, Georgie, I can always tell when you mean business, you put your hair up. Another wonderful video from you. Thank you. Change of subject. The Australian Prime Minister talked about breaking away from the Crown once Prince Charles takes over. I feel all the trouble Harry and Meghan Markle and Andrew have brought nothing but trouble the past years and have caused all these Commonwealth countries to pull away. What do you feel? Have a wonderful evening. God bless you and keep you healthy. I don't think Prince Andrew and his problems have very much to do with the problems that Harry and Meghan have exacerbated in the Commonwealth. Most Commonwealth countries see nothing wrong with 40-year-old men having relationships with 17-year-old girls. That's the reality. So it can't be anything to do with Prince Andrew. Let's park the blame where it belongs, right at the parking space of Harry and Meghan. Marie de Meyer says, I live in South Africa. I don't know whether you saw it, but a month or so after Meghan's wedding, they made a documentary in which they also discussed her dress, more specifically her veil. Meghan pointed out that a flower of every country of the Commonwealth was embroidered onto it. She requested it because the Commonwealth was so close to Harry's heart. She even said they would be kept very busy. What a little manipulator. I feel sorry for Henry. Hope he wakes up before he really loses even his father. Well, it's debatable, my dear, whether his father will ever trust him again. Let me say that for what it's worth. Yes, Meghan comes up with a script to suit every occasion. Or to put it another way, she jumps on every bandwagon as it's rolling past. Anything for attention, anything for self-promotion, anything to let everybody know how wonderful she's. I'm just so wonderful. And just, you know, Mr. DeMille, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I'm even better than Norma Desmond. Yes, I am. And to wrap this up, Diane Martinez says, unfortunately, in the United States, it's all about race, and we can't expect any woke celebrities to go against each other. And she repeats, it's all about race. Big block capitals, exclamation mark. What Americans may not realize, and maybe many citizens in the Commonwealth may not realize, is that there are significant differences between people of color's experience in the United States of America and throughout the Commonwealth. the only Commonwealth country that had a system akin to the American system, and they only had it for a relatively short time, while America had it for a long time, was South Africa, which had the apartheid movement. America had its equivalent from the 19th century till the 1960s, late 1960s, when things got cleaned up. But they started to get cleaned up in the earlier 1960s. Until then, America had the Jim Crow laws in the southern states of America. And Americans were far more prejudiced generally against people of color via legal means than they were in any Commonwealth country, with the exception of South Africa. There were no anti-black laws in any of the other countries. No anti-anything racial laws that I am aware of. This is a significant difference. When people speak about race in America, and the Americans are going on and on about race elsewhere, the historical experience is totally different. Also, we need to remember that the United States of America has, to a large extent, rectified, not only legally, but in real terms, a lot of the enormous injustices that they did to black people. America has had a half-white, half-black president in the form of Barack Obama. I know he identifies as black, but he is half white and half black. Let's be accurate. Whatever you want to call him, he is definitely half African in reality, not of a slave background either. So his experience, and he was also brought up incidentally by his white mother and white grandparents. So his experience was not typical of the average American of color. I think we need to bear all of this in mind when we discuss race. And yes, there were terrible injustices done to black people. There were also terrible injustices done to the Irish, the Italians, the Poles, although not to the same extent legally. They were the underbelly of society in the 19th and early 20th century as well. So it's not only the black Americans who suffered. Other people have suffered as well. We need to have a proper perspective on all of these matters. And America has come a long way in righting the wrongs that were done to its African American population. Why is it all about race? Because race, and I've noticed this not only in America, but I've noticed it even in Jamaica. The race card is the get out of jail card. It is the card that gives you license to do anything, no matter how appalling, no matter how bad, no matter how criminal. It is supposed to be an excuse that is a justification for wrongdoing. Well, it's not. It shouldn't be played, and I agree with Martin Luther King. It's not about the colour of people's skin, it's about their character. And people need to be judged on their character, not the colour of their skin. And playing the race card and using it as an excuse for bad behaviour doesn't justify bad behaviour. What it does is expose the player for basically being a con artist, a trickster, somebody who doesn't have the proper values, the morality, the decency to live by good rules. Tina Hagler-Boswell says, could anyone explain to me why, after Meghan married into the royal family, she started wearing browns and blacks when everyone else was in bright or pastel colours? Tina Hagler-Boswell, it couldn't be simpler. Meghan is an oppositional personality. She's got to oppose. There's a rule, she's got to break it. It's very antisocial. It's indicative of an antisocial type of person. She has to disrespect the rules because she is bigger than the rules, whatever the rules are. And no matter where she is or whatever she's doing, she's gonna break or bend those rules if she can get away with it. She even did it on Suits. And she did it in Hollywood. That's one of the reasons why, aside from the fact that she was not a good enough actress, wasn't good looking enough, didn't have charisma or any of the attributes to become a star. One of the other reasons was, and I know this from people who knew Meghan Markle in Hollywood, she was an almighty pain, no matter what. And I incidentally articulate this in my book for what it's worth, so I'm not coming up with it recently. She was an almighty pain to deal with. If she got apart with one line, she would argue the hind legs off the donkey to get it expanded to 5 lines. She is overly assertive. She's aggressively assertive. She is oppositional, as I said. And she also stated that she was going to modernize the monarchy. And she made it absolutely clear, and again, I state this in my book, and she got Harry on this bandwagon again. The tradition was something to be snared at, never something to be respected. She has and has never had any interest in joining a team and being a team player. She has always been about joining a team and taking over, to conquer, to lay down her marker, to assert herself, to dominate, to control. One of the ways she was able to do this was to kick over the traces of the rules of attire for female members of the royal family. The reason why they wear bright colours or pastel colours is they want to stand out from the crowd. Also, brown is not a particularly flattering colour for most people, and to wear it constantly, you have to be a particular type, and also it doesn't stand out in a crowd. And black is a mourning colour. And Meghan has completely ignored the fact that the royals, by and large, do not wear black because they only wear black when they are in mourning for the death of someone. How are you going to show that you're in mourning if you're always wearing black? Then you're in mourning and you're wearing black as well. What are you going to do? Put a skull on your lapel? I mean, it's just ridiculous. But then again, Meghan is not the sort who would understand the concept of mourning. I mean, remember, she's yet to send a letter of condolence for her Uncle Markle's death, or the death of her Johnson uncle. Well, of course, I forgot, they're not important enough. They're not important enough. She can hustle those buns to try to get on a TV show, or to get column inches and work her way into tragedies. But to convey sympathies and condolences for loved ones related to her and people who helped to make her what she is in terms of the success that she once was, couldn't be bothered with that. JMN says, now this is to remind us of how popular Meghan is. She also wasn't invited to the Beckham wedding, and most definitely not invited to the Catherine William combined birthday party that is coming up. No one wants to be around them. Well, my dear, that's not actually true. Priyanka Chopra wants to be around them, and one or two others, Jamila, whatever her name is. I can't remember her name. She wants to be around them, I'm sure. But by and large, no. Nobody of note or merit and consequence wants to be around either her or Harry. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I wonder why. Kevin Cole says, Lady C, whatever the failings of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, they were not trying to destroy the monarchy in the UK. That is absolutely correct and well observed, Kevin Cole. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor never tried to damage or destroy the monarchy. They wanted to enjoy the fruit of being a part of the monarchy, and they did. Once the Duke was in exile, the Duchess set about creating as regal a replicate of his former life as she could achieve. I know this from people who knew her, people who were there, people who were entertained by them, people who worked for them, like John Pringle, who was his ADC during the war, people like Margaret Argyle, my stepmother-in-law. They never tried to destroy or damage the monarchy. They didn't try to denigrate the monarchy. They might have denigrated the king and queen. They certainly denigrated George VI on the grounds that he was the poodle of Cookie, as they called Queen Elizabeth, who became Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. They certainly denigrated her, and they blamed her primarily for his abdication. But they certainly didn't try to damage the monarchy generally. and they kept their dirty linen securely in the hamper. They didn't air it in public the way Harry and Meghan have done. Amy Hudson says, Meghan wearing the white outfit to Thanksgiving for the Queen was pure trolling. She was saying to the royal family, I am here to destroy you like Wallis, but I will succeed. She won't, of course, but a troll she is. There was evidence in this also in the Oprah interview with the black dress that had a bird's poop on the shoulder. Amy Hudson, I hear what you're saying. There are many people who would agree with you. I wouldn't have necessarily used the word trolling. It's not a word I enjoy using. But I get what you're saying and I get where you're coming from, and I'm not going to deprive you of your right to use the word. I think there is a covert threatening a message that she is hoping to convey, but I think she's also hoping to get some of the Duchess of Windsor's gloss onto her turd, because the Duchess of Windsor was renowned as a woman of tremendous style, and the Duchess of Windsor was also one half of a supposedly great love story. But she is the woman for whom King Edward VIII gave up his throne. And Meghan and Harry have tried to spin the yarn that he had to give up his royal position because she was being so racially abused by all those people who cheered her on at her wedding, because the British people are racist. Everybody's a racist. Yeah, those British people, they're just such racists. All those millions of people who looked at our spectacle. It wasn't a wedding, it was a spectacle. Remember, we got married 3 days before in the chicken coop. Oh, sorry, that's where I told that lie. Sorry, that's where I told my truth about the wedding. And, yeah, I'm just an innocent little creature. And the victim, Wallis was a victim, and I'm a victim. Well, and also, let's not forget, Wallis and David had a great love, not as great as yours and mine, H. Now remember to do exactly what I say. Now, when I press your back like that, remember the arm goes up. And when I rub your back like this, the arm goes down. And when I grab your hand with my claw and squeeze, remember to look bright and cheerful. And if you don't, I'll squeeze harder. Because you need to be a well-trained poodle. There are all sorts of subliminal messages going on, most of which are wildly inappropriate and some of which strike me as being pretty sick. So, having said that, I think we can safely get off the subject and hear what Leah Markle has to say. I respectfully disagree with you, Lady C, when you said that Meghan is better looking than Wallis Simpson, except for her smile that she got after does some extensive orthodontic work and veneers. She is not a beauty, and she capitalizes on her smile even when it's not appropriate. She always has that fake smile at every occasion. It was said that she also had a nose job. I guess they just forgot the bottom of the nose, which is still quite large, especially from profile. It is also rumored that she had work on her cheekbones. But Meghan has little beady eyes and her skin on her face looks damaged. I don't think it's damaged, I think it's just not good. So, had Wallis Simpson done some work on her face, like rhinoplasty and her cheekbones, she would have looked perfect. Well, I'm not so sure about that, but I hear what you're saying. I don't think Wallis Simpson was ever going to be a great beauty. She knew it, and I happen to agree with her on that. But she had a fabulous figure, and she had style, and she had charm and pizzazz. She was a rarely to meet a great American lady in the old-fashioned Southern meaning of the word. Now, I noticed that amid scabies has jumped in to the debate that has been surrounding Harry and Meghan, and the fact that Harry has issued yet more proceedings against the Home Office and joining the Metropolitan Police to get the protection that they require as they sail through life demanding security. Because I know some of the most famous people in the world, and I can tell you a lot of them don't have the level of security that Harry and Meghan want. When the Queen used to come to the Cundy Street flats, she only ever arrived with the car, the driver, and one security officer. No outriders, no palaver. That was the Queen herself. Yet we have, amid scabies, having demanded that Harry and Meghan deserve the protection that they are demanding before it is too late. Too late for what? Because they're under such threats, according to amid scabies and to them. Well, if they're under such threats, why are they out and about, exposed the way they are in the United States of America, where there are guns everywhere, but they can't go anywhere in Britain where guns are tightly controlled? I mean, I think scabies has claimed as well that Harry is going to be the son of a future king. But the son of a present king doesn't have the level of security that Harry is claiming for himself and for Meghan and their children. I'm referring to Prince Edward. Nor does the daughter, Princess Anne, of the monarch, have the level of security that amid scabies and his, what shall we say, his puppeteers are demanding. Because he is going to be the son of a king, but the son and daughter of the present monarch don't have what he is demanding. Not only is it illogical, the article was, as usual with anything to do with Harry and Meghan, since logic fails, it has to be high-flown emotion, which is really nothing but blackmail. Nothing but blackmail. Moth's mummy says, I see H&M have won an award for advocating for Afghan refugees. How many Afghans have they taken into their home in Montecito? Edit, your jewellery today is gorgeous. Thank you very much. And you're referring to my previous demi-parole. Yes, it's pretty, isn't it? But if you don't mind awfully, I'm not going to go there. I would much rather not speak about things like that. I think it's a little bit inelegant for me to speak about them, don't you? But thanks for the compliment. And I need to fill you in, Moth's mummy, on a big secret. Harry and Meghan have given over Palazzo de Montecito to Afghan refugees. They are sleeping in the kitchen. Sorry. They're not sleeping in the kitchen. I misspoke. They're sleeping in the chicken coop. They have not only given over the whole of Palazzo de Montecito to Afghan refugees, but they have turned over their fortune and all future income from Archewell because they're so generous. Remember, they are very charitable people. They are justifying their existence on the fact that they give to charities, notwithstanding the fact that their last accounts said that the income from their charitable work was $50,000. How does that work? Oh dear, oh dear. That's too much for my brain, because I know it's not coming out of their personal pockets. That I bank my life on. Moth's mummy, these awards can be bought. I'm constantly being approached by people, by publications, to get awards. And it's either that they want my name attached to their award to boost their profile, or sometimes they want one to give them money for expenses, administrative expenses, for the recipient to receive the award. And I'm afraid I don't go down that route. But do Harry and Meghan? I leave that little thought with you. I know what I think, but I'm not going to put myself in legal hot water by accusing anybody of buying awards. Kyle O'Brien says, hello, Lady C, and to Mickey and Aurora as well. They are flagged on the sofa opposite. They're so hot. As always, thank you for all your videos and all the research and work that goes into them. Thank you very much. Quite a lot of research and work does go into them. Especially in the last few weeks with the Tom Bauer book review. I gewalt geschrieben. Wasn't that an ordeal? But I womanfully got through it. Didn't I? Thoroughly enjoyed hearing your input as well as your reflections. Deftly done. Merci beaucoup. I wanted to ask this back during that week, but seeing as you had your videos planned out, I did not. My question was, what is your opinion on the recent so-called Wagatha Christie court case between Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy? I have to admit, I knew next to nothing about the court case, but after looking into it, I was both shocked and horrified. I also very much enjoyed Lizzie Cundy's input with Dan Wooten the other night. Your thoughts on the trial and its verdict, please? Thanks for all you do, not only educating us here on YouTube, but also being a voice for good reason and the truth, with 4 exclamation marks. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you, Carl O'Brien. Well, to those of you abroad who don't know, we've had a famous libel case here where a rather sleazy little hustler called Rebecca Vardy, who is married to a football player called, I think, Jamie Vardy. And he's, I believe, 37 years old and has just had his contract renewed. These footballers earn a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. But he is 37, and let me tell you, footballers don't have a long shelf life. So she has lost a £3 million defamation case, which she instituted against Colleen Rooney, who is married to Wayne Rooney, who was a huge football player star. I have to say, I read the whole thing avidly. First of all, I'm very interested in defamation, having been subjected over several decades to having recourse to it to preserve my reputation and indeed my sanity, not to mention integrity. Rebecca Vardy accused Colleen Rooney of lying about her when Colleen Rooney set about, and why it's called Wagatha Christie to those of you who are abroad, is Agatha Christie was the famous writer of crimes who was always ferreting out wrongdoers. Well, Colleen Rooney discovered that somebody in her close private circle was leaking stuff about her private life to the newspapers, primarily to The Sun, which I think is the largest selling tabloid in this country. And she, over a period, if I remember correctly, it was 10 months, set about finding out and entrapping the person who it was by falsifying stories about herself on her Instagram page. And she narrowed it down to Rebecca Vardy's account. And she then announced that it was Rebecca Vardy's account. And Rebecca Vardy sued her. Rebecca Vardy was pregnant at the time. And Rebecca Vardy said that she was in danger of losing the baby and blah, 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 blah. Rebecca Vardy is a real drama queen and a real prima donna. And the judge effectively said that Rebecca Vardy is a liar. And that Rebecca Vardy, she said she wasn't credible, is how she put it, which means she's a liar. And Rebecca Vardy lost the case. Well, I wasn't surprised she lost the case. She pulled every dirty trick in the book and thought that everybody else was a fool. Her stories, as the judge, I think it's called Mrs. Justice Steyn, said, her stories were wildly inconsistent and hardly credible. She managed to dispose of every bit of evidence that would have incriminated her and came up with cock and bull stories. And she stood up in that court and really lied as if she were Meghan Markle on the Oprah show. I would like to know why Mrs. Justice Steyn has not referred this matter to the police for prosecution of perjury. That's what I'd like to know. Because Rebecca Vardy caused the Rooneys 3 years of aggro and grief, all the while maintaining that she, Rebecca Vardy, was the victim when she was patently the perpetrator. Well, it's going to cost her husband £3 million. It's cost her her reputation, such reputation as she had before. I'm not sure it was that great, but now it's mud. I think that women like Rebecca Vardy, Amber Heard, and Meghan Markle give womanhood a bad name. I think these are crass, publicity-seeking vulgarians, opportunists of the most unsavory kind, who no decent person would want to have to cross paths with. And those who are unfortunate enough to cross paths with them usually find that the spider and the fly becomes more than a fable, but the reality of their lives. Because these are women who have no respect or regard for fair play, decency, or the truth, going off their conduct and what they have stated and represented themselves as being and as being involved with. And I make this point for legal reasons. This is entirely a judgment going off one's perception of their conduct as they have presented themselves to the viewing public, me included. Dreadful. Well, I'm glad Rebecca Vardy got her comeuppance. And what was her response? The judge didn't understand the case. Rebecca Vardy doesn't seem to understand. The judge understood the case only too well. The judge saw through her for the cheap and vulgar and ghastly prima donna and attention-seeking, publicity-hungry totty that she is. Dreadful woman, dreadful. And our final question of the day is from Anna May. Lady C, can I ask you to look at the videos Kevin Federline has posted of his children and his ex Britney Spears and give me the benefit of your wisdom? Thanks for putting it like that. I know what I think and believe that what you think will affirm my belief. Your thoughts, please. Well, I did look at the videos before they were taken down, and I was absolutely horrified on Britney Spears' behalf that Kevin Federline would have, like the phoenix, arisen from the ashes to put the boot in a way that actually, in my not so humble opinion, gives us, the public, an insight into what poor Britney Spears has had to endure. Because all Britney Spears was doing in both those videos was reasonably trying, to discipline her children. Now, I would imagine 95% of parents and children have had an exchange where the parent has to say to the child, no, this is my house, and have more respect for me. There is nothing that Britney Spears did that was out of the ordinary. Well, she might have used a naughty word, but so what? That's the vernacular. Many people use it. So I don't think that's something I would hold against her. She was simply trying to discipline her children and get some respect from them. And it seemed to me, Heidi, looking at it, Aurora has come. Yes. It seemed to me that, sorry, I don't think you can see Aurora, but she's snuggling up with me. Sorry, it seems to me that Britney Spears was only doing what any conscionable mother would do. And her expectations were entirely reasonable, while the expectations of the children were unreasonable. And Britney Spears has responded by saying that the Federline house is pretty much filled with weed, let's put it that way. She has got her lawyer to point out, his name is Matthew Rosengart, that Federline has broken various laws because in California, you are not allowed to tape people and broadcast without their consent, knowledge, or approval, none of which Britney Spears either knew or gave. That Federline has abused not only the law, but he's violated Britney Spears' privacy and that of her and their sons by posting all of this. Reading between the lines, the fact this is the only thing he could find to post tells me that this was the worst thing he could come up with. And if that was the worst thing he could come up with, I have to ask, was Britney Spears being subjected to a conservatorship at a time that she was being entirely reasonable? And clearly, they were being unreasonable. Because if a mother can't demand that her children speak to and treat her with respect, I don't know what system of values exists. And this is obviously the very worst thing that Federline could come up with. And he then says that her father saved her life, which he might well have done initially, and that the conservatorship, for the length of time that it lasted, saved her life. Well, she disputes that, and going off the evidence of this video, I would say I would need more information before believing that that conservatorship was not already wildly inappropriate at that time. Because I'll tell you the message I get from it. Federline, who is supported in effect, in part, if not in toto, by Britney Spears, at least until those children are majors. It suits him, and it suited all of them, to have the meal ticket working but having no control over her life and being denigrated at every turn. I'm not saying she didn't have problems, and I'm not saying initially she didn't need the protection of loved ones. But I have to tell you, those videos as they are posted shows that the person who needed protection was Britney Spears, against them, not from them or by them, sorry, because Britney Spears clearly was the more rational. I mean, the Federline premise is that the children should do whatever they want, speak to her however they want, be as cavalier and rude as they want. Is that the way to bring up civilized people? Is that the way to bring up respectful people? Is that the way to bring up people who are going to be credits to their parents, their society, and their God? I would submit not. I know this is most likely going against the grain with some people who believe that children can never be wrong. Well, I'm sorry, children can be wrong. And the duty of a parent is to mold the child's character so that the child ends up with a good character. Let's see how those children end up. Let's see. Because if Britney Spears is right and they are in a ganja paradise with being able to do exactly as they please and speak to their mother exactly as they want, while I'm sure all of them were busy taking her money. So it was one thing to respect her earning power, but not to respect her as a person. Deeply, deeply disturbing, the whole thing. And I think he shot himself in the foot, not only legally, but I think he shot himself in the foot because to anybody who is rational and reasonable, Britney Spears is the one who needs to be protected from them, not by them, because they weren't protecting her. In fact, by the look of it, they were taking a full advantage of her. Sad but true. And I hope that those two children will actually understand that a mother who loves a child, I should repeat that and rephrase it, a parent actually who loves a child needs that child to be properly behaved. And that child needs to respect the reasonable requirements of a parent and not have the ganja mentality of, oh, well, if I want to do it, I'm going to be able to do it, and to hell with everybody and everything. And on that note, I will say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and remember, keep the questions and comments coming in. This cannot be done without you. God bless and goodbye.